It's stories that make us human, but it's stories that bring us all together. And that's why we're all here. The Chive is a community. And why are we such a great community? Because we're bonded by a charitable spirit. When we're reviewing recipients, sometimes you hear a story that stops the room in its tracks. I remember Mark had served in the Navy. He had been a police officer for 18 years. They had 2 teenage kids, and his wife, Bobby, had found out she had stage 4 breast cancer.
She's in a lot of pain. With her back, her ribs, and her hips, and now it's in her lungs. It's just hard for her to get in and out of the shower. I'm just afraid she's gonna fall one day, and the doctor told us that if she ever fell, that it could be she not able to walk again because her bones in her back are so weak.
For 23 years, Bobby's been there for me while I was in the military, as I worked long hours as a police officer. In 23 years, we never yelled or screamed at each other. We'd always kiss each other before laying our heads down on the pillow. And every night we told each other, I love you. And every day I pray to God to give me cancer so she can live her life free of pain. Mark and Bobby's is just one of hundreds of stories we receive at Chive Charities every year from people and families who are facing unbelievable tragedy.
So Sophia was a very healthy 2.5-year-old, and she had a cold. But this particular cold, she woke up one day and said, "Mommy, I can't walk."
And the stories we receive range everywhere from medical nightmares to natural disasters.
It got black. The sky just got black, and the smoke was just choking.
We are 100% surrounded by fire. No, not today.
You know, they was telling me, he was going to die or die shortly after birth, or he's not going to be able to breathe. So I was terrified.
I had just heard the word atrophy. I immediately cried.
You said she'll never walk, she'll never have a normal life, and then you're painting this, no hope picture. It was very scary.
These stories, they're not just cases. These are people.
Am I going to lose him? Is he going to be okay? What are we facing? And nobody could give us any answers on anything.
Rare medical, kind of strictly defined, is a condition, disease, disorder that less than 3% of the general population has ever heard of. And by right of that, they don't get funded well.
We can't get any type of assistance for her. So I was just looking up resources because as she gets older, things get a lot more expensive.
Van's DNA doesn't reproduce or repair correctly, so anything that your body, your immune system kind of warrants off, his cannot do that.
SMA kids, their breathing muscles are just weak, so anytime she would get a cold, she could be 30 days on a ventilator because her lungs collapsed from the secretions due to pneumonia.
For many of these recipients, life is spent in and out of hospitals or driving to doctor's appointments.
She had the 120 electrodes put right onto her brain, and she sat there for a week with it in her head while they watched the seizures happen.
Then we would be in ICU 3-4 weeks at a time, and he would bring himself around, and 3 or 4 months we back at where we started.
These are the outliers. They are the underdogs. They're Rosalind with half a brain in Sydney, Ohio.
It's my sleeping machine. I have to wear it always at night because my brain can't tell me to breathe.
She stops breathing about 100 times a night.
She stops breathing 100 times a night.
Without the machine.
They're Amanda Garbatini, who's beaten cancer 5 times.
I'm prone to blood cancers, breast cancer, brain cancer, sarcomas, which are just very prevalent in people who have Lee-Fraumeni syndrome, which is what I have.
These underdogs are like sticks scattered in the wind all over the country.
Cancer is not something that you can fight on your own, because so often we feel like that we're alone in this and that there's no one else that understands what we're going through.
They're fighting to overcome feelings of isolation and hopelessness.
I gave up. I was in that much pain. It was that excruciating that I couldn't physically, in my human body, fight anymore.
I distinctly remember these doctors saying it's time for you to start accepting that this is kind of the beginning of potentially the end. And there were 2 of them there at the time, and I just said, "You're fired and you're fired."
And it might not be until all 4 walls are closing in around you that they finally reach out for help. And when they do reach out, they share their stories with us. When we tell their story, the recipient gets to see themselves in a different light altogether. We want them to feel like they're heroes, because they are.
I always say I'm like Nemo, because Nemo has a fin that doesn't work. It's like my hand. That doesn't work.
It doesn't stop you, right?
No, I always said my disability always makes me different.
She never got into that, oh, woe is me, or pity party or anything like that.
And that's where Chive Charities comes in with our incredible community of donors and doers.
It was almost like this wave of support came, and it was just amazing. It was crazy. It was so good to see, you know, that everyone cared about us and cared about our family and our son. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional.
How much does this leg cost?
This is worth $33,000.
That's a $33,000 leg. And Chive Charities was able to help with that?
Chive Charities paid for the leg.
Oh, well done.
Yes.
And then Griffin Stein was the first ADA accessible van that we ever gave away. And now we've given away 115.
I had no idea how much a wheelchair accessible van costs.
Oh, it's
and
crazy.
even when I think about it, it still upsets me because I think there is no way. They've got to do better for people.
As you know, we are the Oprah of ADA accessible vans.
You know what you can't get in the mail?
What?
That we came to give you?
What?
A brand new car.
Boom. Really is helpful to have him drive, and I'm just lost for words.
As soon as we get the van, my daughter said, let's take a road trip.
Yay, Gracie!
It's freedom for him, the ability to go more places.
All it takes is one story to set all of this goodwill in motion.
Whoa, nice.
I did it!
They're serving people to allow them to pay it forward, to give them an opportunity to turn people towards hope and towards a completely different life.
And for all the power of our community, we can't stop tragedies from happening. And for some of our recipients, life is short. This year we lost David Costner, Griffin Stein, Little DJ, and Bobby. Dear Chivers, I just wanted to let you know that Bobby passed on September 15th due to complications of lung cancer. I stayed at the hospital for 2 days by her bedside, and I think I told her 1,000 times that I loved her and that I'd miss her hugs. We played Over the Rainbow, and it was the song she wanted to be played during her last breaths. I'd like to say thanks to the Chive Charities donors for their help with the shower they built us. She was in hospice for 5 weeks before her passing, and I would literally give her a shower every 2 days. In her last 3 weeks, she could hardly move or walk, so I had to help her with everything. If you did not give us this shower, it would have made the last few months with her so much more difficult. May God bless you, the Chive and Chive Charities. Thank you. Sometimes you can't stop tragedy, and we can't cure all rare diseases, but what you can do is help someone who is suffering or feeling alone. You can help ease their pain just a little bit and make their lives 10% happier.
Thank you, Chive Charities. I'm gonna dip my band zoo, and my band gonna be blue, blue, blue.
Thank you for giving my child her independence and freedom back.
Thank you guys so much for being able to do this for my son and just for all the kids in the military vets that you guys help and just everyone that does.
I mean, I could cry every time I talk about it because we wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. And it means the world to us that you guys are giving people opportunity like this.
I just want to thank everyone at Chive Charities, including the Green Chive Charity members. Really can't thank you enough.
We never would imagine just having such a vehicle that we could transport Kristen. We'll be so thankful for every dime that they put in for Chive.
Like, how exactly do you say thank you? It offers him an opportunity to explore life in a way that I can't do for him.
To see the look on my family's face when they realize Daddy's going to continue to get better. Thank you falls far short of what we really want to say.
Okay, Chive Charities for the new van.
I mean, what you guys are doing for us is awesome. And it gives us a lot of time to figure out what our long term is going to look like at this point.
Thank you, Chive Charities.